What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to my podcast, my F1 podcast, my F1 YouTube channel. It's Peter on pole. My name is Peter, right here in pole position. And yes, I'm back. It's been a long time, but I thought it's only right that I come back with some daily F1 content. That's right, daily. We're going to be talking about some F1 news, what's been going on, doing the rounds lately, and yeah, it's going to come have fun, kick back with me, and let's discuss all things Formula One. And so do me a favor, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. If you like Formula One content like this, then please do hit up and make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. But let's talk about today's story, the big story that I think is worth mentioning today, and big up everyone that's in like watching live and watching on the replays as well. Do, like I said, hit the like button there as well for me, please. That would be great. But Toto Wolff has spoken today. Toto Wolff, the boss, the don of Mercedes F1. In fact, this part CEO as well, if I remember, co-CEO or something like that. But yes, he has mentioned today that DNFs could decide the title race this year. The title race, which he's referring to, of course, is between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Two people who have put a great battle on this year. Two people who have been nothing short of magnificent, in all honesty. This is probably one of the biggest title races, the closest title clashes we've had for a very, very, very long time. So the points right now, as things stand, 6 points at the time of recording is the gap. Max Verstappen in the lead, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And when you think about this season, it's actually been a pretty good title race. I think it's one of those seasons we're going to look back on and actually think, do you know what? We took this season maybe for granted because it's actually been close all year round. Yes, we've been arguing about, who's going to finish what, who's going to do, it's Team Lewis versus Team Max at the minute, Team Red Bull versus Team Mercedes, whatever way you want to join, whatever way you want to slice it. But it's one of those where I think, let's drink it, man. Let's just drink it in. Let's take it in. Let's actually embrace what we are actually seeing, because I think there's actually been some really, really, really good stuff. And, big up to Day Motorsport. You don't know, Day. Big up yourself, man. 100%. Yeah, I think it's just something that we need to enjoy, whilst we're here this season. And this is going to be, what are we, 6-7 races to go? It's going to be unbelievably close. So big up to everyone that's locked in right now. Let's get into a little bit of what Toto really had to say, because he mentioned that this is taken from Autosport, by the way, autosport.com. This is where I got most of my information from. And he was basically mentioning that, I think it's more in relation to even what happened in Turkey last week, whereby whether or not, when was the right time to pit Lewis Hamilton? When was the right time whether he should have or shouldn't have done it? Toto makes a interesting quote where he mentions about, saving if what our worry was basically DNFing in this entire race into the race itself. And if you lose out on, 25 points, 18 points, 10 points, whatever it may be, it will be very, very costly for the title this season. And I think that's not something to smirk at. I think he's actually got a very good point there. Toto Wolff, he knows this. He knows the game. He knows how to do this. He knows how to win titles. This is a serial champion, serial constructors winner. He knows what he has to do, and he knows what kind of beast Max Verstappen and Red Bull are this year. They're no mugs. Red Bull are no mugs this season. So I think it's very important that how can I put it? It's very important that we actually take note of what Toto Wolff is actually saying. So yeah, he sort of mentions in this article, he sort of mentions that DNFs will be the decider in this title race. Comment below. Do you agree? Do you believe that DNFs will be the reason either Max or Lewis Hamilton takes the title this year? It's a weird one. Max is in the lead, but I'll tell you what, you would never bet against Lewis Hamilton. You would be silly to do so. But maybe it might be the year. Might be the year where Max Verstappen comes in and finally comes into his own, and he absolutely smashes the title this year. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. This is an interactive podcast. I want you guys to join in and have a bit of fun. Couple of things though. to me, I would have assumed that, the small little things here, the few points here and there is what's going to swing. And let's just see who gets the right swing. 1 minute, it's 2 points in the lead to Max. It's 5 points in the lead to Lewis. It's finishing in fifth, finishing in third. I thought those little details will be the reason as to why. So I slightly disagree, but at the same time, I'm cautious of what Toto Wolff has had to say because, like I said, this man knows his stuff. He knows the sport. He knows exactly what kind of competition he's up against. He's had this before with Nico Rosberg. He's had this before with title challenges in the past with Red Bull and even Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari. So this year, I think he's genuinely concerned, and I don't know. I don't know whether he's onto something here, whether he's sort of sounding a little bit scared. I don't know, but at the same time, here's a few things. Lewis Hamilton's only DNF'd once this season, and Max Verstappen is twice. I think you could say third time. The one that Lewis obviously was down in Monza, with that massive collision with Max Verstappen. And then, of course, Max, as well as the Monza situation, remember he went out in the first lap at the British Grand Prix, and that was very, very controversial. I think it was like lap one, and he went out into the British Grand Prix. Of course, there's another time, you look at Baku. Apparently, he was classified, whatever the hell that means. I mean, comment below if you know what the whole classified thing is. It didn't count as a DNF for Max Verstappen when he went out in Baku, which feels ages away, by the way. It feels forever. So, I don't know. It could be very interesting to see what happens. So when you look at it, 2 DNFs for Max Verstappen, 1 for Lewis Hamilton. Does Toto Wolff have a good point? Is there a point that is this something that we should have probably taken notice of beforehand without actually realizing it? Let's get into your comments here. Everyday Motorsport, once again, thank you for the comment. I think DNFs could play a role in the title fight, but I'm still leaning more towards the performance of the cars on Sunday. Yeah, I think I agree. Instinct wise, I agree with what you're saying. And it's one of those where I think it's just the fact it's Toto Wolff who's come out with it. Now, who knows, it might be some PR spin, God knows. But I'm taking heed. To somebody like that, I'm taking some lessons. And so I don't know, it could be very, very interesting. The next 2 races will be crucial in the title race, if you ask me. I mean, if we look ahead as well, the United States Grand Prix and of course Mexico, tough circuits. Red Bull really have to be outstanding, don't they? They're gonna have to be very, very good in order to keep themselves relevant in this title race, because very important that that Max keeps that gap, if not tries to at least just be in touching distance of Lewis Hamilton, because it could easily switch. You know what Formula One is like; it can easily just switch on you. Lewis could just win 2-3 races, and that's it. Game done. Game, set, and match. But do you think, with the way Toto's thinking, so Toto's, we're discussing Toto's sort of mindset. He thinks DNS will decide the title race this year. Do you think this played a huge part at the Turkish Grand Prix? Do you think this is the reason why, Hamilton and his engineers are sort of going back and forth, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, let's just pit because I'm scared that the car will DNF, and if it DNFs, then guess what? Like, we'll have no we'll have no points on the board. Yes, Hamilton didn't have an impressive season. Sorry, he didn't have an impressive race. Rather, of course, he had to suffer that 10-place grid penalty. But this is going to be a tough year. And shout out to Racing House, who says this year is Max's year. Ooh, very, very strong statement. Listen, Max has been phenomenal from what the Max Verstappen that we know. Up until this time, he has been phenomenal. This is somebody who, in years gone by, we would have, sort of critiqued his immaturity. We would have critiqued, not having a level head. He's somebody who could get probably really hot very quickly. But this year, when you consider everything that he's gone through, fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's done bloody well. Racing House goes on to say, yeah, DNS will decide the year. Lewis can't afford to have any more. I assume you mean yes. Lewis Hamilton can't afford to have any more DNFs. Okay, so you guys are in a bit of agreement here. You lot are hearing what Toto Wolff has had to say, because I was a bit surprised when he mentioned it, and I thought, oh, okay, why does he think this? Why DNFs? Why that extreme? Surely just, if you finish second and third, that makes a big difference. First and second, huge difference. If Lewis stays second for the rest of the season in every single race, doesn't guarantee him the title by any stretch of the imagination. So it'll be very, very interesting. Big up to Uzair, what's happening, brother? Long time. Mercedes will win the Constructors' Championship because Bottas has been better than Perez this season. Oh, this is a very big claim. This is a very, very interesting one. Maybe it might not be as big as it sounds, but he's been better than Sergio Perez. But the World Drivers' Championship is too close to call at the moment, in your opinion. Listen, I'm not a betting man. I would not want to. It's crazy because you think to yourself, Hamilton is somebody who you cannot bet against, can you? 7-time world champion. There's a reason why he has the titles. But at the same time, this year, when have we really seen, since Rosberg, have we seen him challenge like this? And Rosberg was 2016. So it's going to be a very, very, it's going to be an interesting one. Is the Constructors' title, in your opinion, guys, is the Constructors' title over? Because I think, and if it is over to Mercedes, has Sergio Perez failed this season? It's the question I want to ask. Has he failed this season? Because it's interesting. Of course, Red Bull stopped messing about with the youngsters, and nothing but respect to the youngsters they've had when they've brought in the likes of Kvyat, they've brought in the likes of Gasly and Albon. No problem with that. I can appreciate bringing in younger talent, but at the same time, I'm thinking, stop messing about. And when they went and got Sergio Perez, I thought, here we go. This is now we're talking. Now, Red Bull are serious to win the title this year. And guess what? Max Verstappen is closer than ever. And I have a feeling that's got a part to play because, of course, the car's phenomenal. Well, the car was phenomenal. Let's get into that a bit later. The car was phenomenal. But also, Sergio Perez has been a bit of a thorn in the side of Mercedes. Mercedes have had to look elsewhere, not just at Max Verstappen. They've had to look at Sergio Perez. So although Bottas has the higher points for sure, he's third in the Constructors, and I think Perez is fourth or fifth even behind Lando Norris. He's caused a distraction in Mercedes, in my opinion. So let's see. Has Sergio Perez failed? Is the question here. If Mercedes win the Constructors' title, let's get on to back again to Everyday Motorsport. Yeah, I agree with us there. The World Constructors' Championship is Merck's. The World Drivers' Championship is still wide open as long as Max performs in the next 2 races. This is very, very interesting. See, I don't think the Constructors is necessarily closed just yet. I know the points are pretty high. You're looking at, 30 points plus. But, all it takes is a 1-2 Red Bull. I know it sounds rare, but a 1-2 Red Bull, and it blows it wide open, doesn't it? All of a sudden, now the Constructors comes into disrepute. Who does the USA Grand Prix, who does the Circuit of Americas, rather, who does it favor? Does it favor Mercedes? Does it favor the Red Bull? It's a tough one. I can't put my finger on it. I genuinely cannot. If I just go over, sorry. Thank you for all the people commenting in. Thank you for everybody that's watching the video. Make sure you hit the like button as well, please. That will be great. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really, the way I see it, this is from Racing House. Really, the way I see it, Lewis should be at least 25 points ahead of Max. But Lewis and Merck have dropped the ball a few times. I couldn't agree anymore. I think in so many circumstances this season, you've looked at it, you thought, Mercedes, why? Why have you done this? Now, I'm not complaining because I'm glad to see a title race nonetheless. I'm not a Mercedes fan as in I support Mercedes. I don't support Red Bull either. But I'm loving the fact that there are 2 titles. There's a proper race going on. Every race matters at the moment. And that's a big, big thing, by the way. We shouldn't take that for granted. Every single race now matters. We're talking about the next 2 races. I can't even jump ahead that far. I got to see what happens because weekend to weekend, I can't make who's going to, win the race. I can't make who's going to have the better weekend. At the start of the season, Red Bull looked nice. They were looking like they were going to coast all the way. It was just a case of just make sure the car comes back in one piece and this title is theirs. All of a sudden, Lewis started picking up those points. Mercedes in the last couple of weeks, in the last couple of race weekends, correct me if I'm wrong, they've looked a lot better. And it's a bit like, even Christian Horner's a bit like, yo, what's happening here? Where's this come all of a sudden? Uzair once again says it's difficult to say because when Gasly and Albon were there, they both struggled, and we can see that Gasly is performing well in a different team. Sure, listen, it's not one way traffic. It's not all the blame goes to the younger drivers. It's definitely not that at all. It looked like a difficult car to drive. In all honesty, it seemed like it just wasn't reliable. It just seemed like it, and you, as you can see, as the seasons went on, they started tailoring that car to Max, and Max had to be on full pelt in order to get anything in terms of results in that Red Bull. So I totally agree. I don't want to sort of just slate the others, but I do feel like when a car is difficult to drive, when a car needs it needs a mature level experienced driver, and I think Sergio Perez has come into that team. And who knows if Sergio Perez wasn't in the Red Bull this year, say we had another youngster, say we continued with Albon, or we had Gasly back again, it's not to say it's going to be smooth sailing. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you remember at the beginning of the season where I think, what's his name? Sergio Perez's like electrics just went out. What do you mean the electrics went out? You know what I'm saying? Like, pay your electricity bill, Red Bull, okay? Pay your bills. But the Red Bull car is not as sophisticated as it looks. Let me put it that way. Racing House says, I don't think Perez has failed. I think Perez is doing better than Albon come race weekend, 16-17. Fundamentally, though, the Red Bull is built for Max. Only one driver was meant to do well. So that's interesting. You're saying even from the jump, look, Max looks like the favorite, doesn't he? He does look like the favorite, and it has always been favorite since he's entered that Red Bull car. When you think about it, even when Ricardo was there, you could just see that maybe Ricardo might have to just step aside because they're given the ball, they're putting the rocket behind Max Verstappen. So I couldn't disagree with you there. I just wonder as well, though, maybe he hasn't failed, but the sole purpose, I thought, and one of the reasons before he went to Red Bull when I said he has to go there, he should go there, they should get Perez, is because that constructors title goes back to Red Bull. Because I don't think Bottas necessarily has been good enough and has been good enough for Mercedes for a while. The race win on the weekend, was it his first since Russia the last year? Over a year ago. And he's in a Mercedes. You know them ones. So for me, I felt like no brainer. Perez comes in, boom, off we go. But now Bottas, the pressure's off, I guess. The contract is done. He's not going to be at Mercedes next year. Maybe when the pressure's off, maybe he performs a lot better. Uzair says Perez was rated very high last year, and rightly so, but this year he's not performing as well as many have expected. Couldn't disagree there. I don't think you can suddenly forget the drive in 1 year. Yeah, look, it's true, but it's almost like in Formula One, you're only as good as your last season or your last race or because if you remember, like Sebastian Vettel now, yeah, let's call it what it is. Sebastian Vettel is somebody right now that we look at and we say, do you know what? He's a nice guy. You know the ones. Yeah. The Vettel I remember, he was mean. He had the mean streak. He wasn't a rude guy or nothing like that, but he cared about winning. He was determined. He did at all costs. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you were teammates. He did everything he could to win. He cared about winning. And even when he went to that Ferrari, he was getting frustrated. But there was that year where you thought, oh dear, yeah, Mr. Vettel in the Ferrari. Here we go. We might get something out of this. Now it just seems like, I don't know, man. It just seems a bit like I forget he's a 4-time world champion. That's how deep it is. Personally, that's just me personally. Obviously, many people will not. But yeah, I just sort of think, I don't know, man. I don't know. Perhaps Max is just that good and makes his teammates look bad, or the car suits Max more than others. Yeah, that'll be a debate forever, isn't it? We could be here all day. Because I think we need to give Max his credit. I know there's a lot of Mercedes fans, there's a lot of Lewis fans, there's a lot of fans of different teams. And I don't really know Red Bull fans that well. I don't really know any Max Verstappen fans as such. But my goodness, for the age that he is as well, I mean, he's absolutely, he's racing the socks off that Red Bull and has been doing that for years. It's always been, reliability issues with Max's car, and that Red Bull just not quite clicking together. But yeah, let's see how, over time, let's see how he goes. I won't say Checo has failed, considering he has needed to adjust into the Red Bull. He's done a better job than Gasly and Albon. French Grand Prix was a good race. Sure. He had to adjust. It's almost like everybody knows that car, it's a special machine. You need a different type of a different type of skill, a different type of training course, a different type of induction to get used to that car. And fair play, fair play to those that have tried. Let's say those that have tried to do well in that Red Bull, because it doesn't look easy. It doesn't look easy at all. But the thing that surprises me the most about Perez is the amount of mistakes he has made, such as in Imola, Silverstone, and Spa. It's a very good point. Has he surprised me with the mistakes? See, I might have to go back to Eriday's point here, because I think it's one of those where he's adjusting. He is adjusting. So I don't know. Let's see how he goes on next year. I want to see how he is next year. If we see more mistakes from Sergio next year, then it's a case of, okay, then I'll start to rub the chin, because I think first year I give grace. Let's see, let him get his feet under the table. Let's see what he can do. And then, as we've said before, Gasly and Albon, he's done a better showing. Red Bull are closer to that constructors title, 30 points plus. I know it sounds a lot, but listen, all it takes is a couple 1-2s. It might be rare, I know, but a couple of 1-2s and all of a sudden Mercedes are on the ropes again. I genuinely think the car suits Max more. Yeah, so Racing House saying that, look, the car suits Max Verstappen. There's not really much else we can say besides that. And there's that disaster of a race in Austria where Checo just lost it to the red mist. Yeah. Everyone's going to have these little hiccups, if you will, these little speed bumps along the road. And you know what? I genuinely think that, look, Sergio, he's too good. He's too experienced, in my opinion. He's gonna get that car right where he wants it. And I think next year after, depending on how these rule regulations, how big of an impact they make on the team, I think Sergio Perez will definitely feel more comfortable with that car, and I think there'll be far less mistakes. But yeah, and lastly here, from Jose says, Vettel since 2018 has been finished, in my opinion. Really nice guy, though. You see what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean nice guy? I don't want to, when I think Vettel, I think of that nasty, snide. You look at the great champions. Big up to my boy David. We done this podcast like months and months ago at the start of the season, and we talked about, if you're nice, you don't win in Formula One. Especially, you don't win. When Vettel was snide, he was winning titles. Schumacher, snide. Hamilton has been on the meanest of streaks. We're watching it before our very eyes. Rosberg had to be mean for a year to win that title. He said, "Look, I'm tapping out. If this is what it takes to win a title, I don't want to know." So the Alonsos, the Kimi Räikkönens, these are people who, in their element, Hakkinen, in their time, Senna, they are mean guys. When it comes to the title, when it comes to it's a case of, I will kill everything and everyone for this title. And yet, as you've put over there, Uzer, he's a nice guy. And I feel like we're getting a soft Vettel. I want a hard Vettel next season. Pause. I want an aggressive Vettel. I want Vettel to be something that, brings the Aston Martin to the forefront and say, look, we're here to party as well. Forget McLaren and Ferrari. We're here to jump in the mix. Because, by the way, Aston Martin showing, I mean, we were rinsing them at the start of the season. They're 7th in the constructors, behind the AlphaTauri and the Alpine. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. So it seems like you guys are all in agreement that DNFs will be the big thing this year. Be it, that you are agreeing with Toto Wolff's comments regarding that, he thinks if you do not finish races, that's where the title race is going to be won. So the question I think I leave with you guys, who's going to be the next one, if there is one, who's going to be the next one to DNF between now and the end of the season? Will it be Max? Will it be Lewis Hamilton? Bear in mind, Max has 2 DNFs and then 1 asterisk next to the Baku one because he was classified, or against Lewis Hamilton's 1 DNF. Of course, that happened in Monza due to Max Verstappen. Who do we think is going to DNF the next, if there is one, between now and the end of the season? I'll leave you with that question. Last comments before I leave, because I need to bounce and do a few things. By the way, I'll be here almost daily. I'm going to try and just jump on the set, hit record, and let's get talking Formula One. I'll be doing a watch along of qualifying of the United States Grand Prix. I'll also be doing a live watch along for the race as well. So just jump in, we'll watch it, bust some joke. You know what I'm saying? You can jump on the stream as well. Interactive business. This is what I'm on. And I've looked around, and obviously Formula One content creators, you've been doing your thing, but I've not seen somebody do like a daily news thing, something that's constantly going. So even in the quiet seasons, we still got something to talk about. We can still dissect something, as today has been. You know, I started off with the Toto Wolff topic, but we've jumped all over the place, and I love all of that. Big up Uze, who says we need multi 21 Sebastian Vettel. Hey, listen, that guy, I remember I was fuming. I was so angry for Mark Webber. I remember that day. Boy, would I wish for it now. Boy, would I wish for it. I did not like Vettel. I must admit, I did not like him. And when he did that, snide. But you see, it's about the title. It's nothing personal. It's about, because as we can see, he's a nice guy. Maybe he's changed, or maybe he was always this great guy. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the title, I don't give a damn who you are. You know what I'm saying? And that was the Vettel that we got to know. We grew and got to know, really, to be fair. Let's see this last few comments here before I dip. I think Seb's confidence was affected by 2020 when he got screwed over. I think he's getting better at Aston, though. Yeah, I think he will. Listen, this talent doesn't die. You know the ones. He's a 4-time Formula One world champion. Say what you want about those championships, you know, whatever, the best car and whatever else, right? Too easy and whatnot. He did have some battles. 2012 comes to mind. 2010 was good. At the end of the day, he is still Sebastian Vettel. You know them ones. And I think you're right. I think he is growing. I think he has got better as the season. Because, by the way, they had a horrific start this season, if you remember testing as well. So anything is better than zero. But I do get your point. I totally understand. He is growing. You think he's been affected by 2020? I think 2019. I think 2019. Or correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The crash that he had in Germany in that Ferrari, he's in the lead. He just needs to take it home. And since that day, I don't know who Sebastian Vettel is. I don't know who he is. And lastly, before we bounce, to be fair, both engines have been very reliable this season. I wouldn't be surprised if neither car DNF for the rest of the season. Yeah, spot on. You're spot on. It's probably been the most reliable season I can think of. Mind you, Hamilton and retirements, I mean, I feel like I got to go back to the McLaren days. you know the ones there. And it just feels rare. Hamilton and retirements don't seem to go hand in hand. And when I think of Max and I think of his misfortunes at Red Bull over the years, it's always been reliability issues. This year we haven't had that much. So actually, when you think about it, yeah, we could go the rest of the season without DNFs. But I'm not gonna lie, I think there's one more left. Something spicy between now and the end of the season. I think we're gonna see something spice. You know what I'm saying? So United States Grand Prix, Mexico, Brazil after that. Brazil, by the way, the Brazilian Grand Prix, I'm looking forward. Qatar, let's see what that will throw up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't had Qatar in Formula One, so that should be interesting. Saudi Arabia as well, of course, before we end it in Abu Dhabi. I'm hoping Abu Dhabi will not be a nothing race. I hope it will mean something. You know what I'm saying? I hope it will mean something. Not gonna lie, I'd love to see a Jerez 97 type incident. Now you're talking, you know them ones. Now you're talking. This is what I mean, you know. So yeah, thank you guys for jumping on the stream today. I will be back tomorrow. We'll be discussing other things. We'll see what's happening in the news, and we'll be talking all things Formula One. Tell a friend, hit the like button, of course, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. More F1 news around the same time, actually. Yeah, I'll be back about 7 o'clock tomorrow. And yeah, let's talk more Formula One, man. And as we head towards Austin for the Circuit of Americas, the United States Grand Prix. With that said, people, lights out.